Happy Kids TV.
The Holy Tales. Today I'll be going to tell you the story called Hezekiah's Illness.
Great! So what are we waiting for? Start with the story, Holy.
All right. When the king of Judah, Hezekiah, fell ill, prophet Isaiah came to visit him. He said to Hezekiah,
"The Lord asks you to get your life in order, because you are going to die from this illness."
Hearing this, Hezekiah prayed to God, crying,
"Remember, O Lord, I have tried to be faithful to you. I have tried to obey you and do what is pleasing in your sight."
Hearing his prayers, the Lord sent a message to Hezekiah through Isaiah. The Lord said,
"Go back to the king and tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of David, says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will add 15 years to your life and save you and this city from the king of Assyria. The Lord will cause the sun's shadow to move 10 steps backward on the sundial of Ahaz, and that will be the Lord's sign."
Sure enough, the shadow of the sun moved 10 steps backward.
Wow! That's so cool! I wonder what the day must have looked like.
So today's question is, how many years did the Lord add to Hezekiah's life?
The Lord added 15 years to his life. Am I correct, Holy?
Absolutely! Well done, Freckles! The Holy Tales. Should we begin with the story? Today's story is called The Special Request. Everything was going well in the kingdom of Persia, and the people loved the new Queen Esther, until the second most powerful person after the king called Haman and started creating problems. He enjoyed power and demanded respect from everyone. So, he passed an order that all the officials in the kingdom should bow to him whenever he passed by. Everyone followed except Mordecai, the queen's cousin. He refused to bow to Haman even when the other officials challenged him. The officials went to Haman asking him about what should be done to Mordecai. Haman knew that Mordecai was Jew, and the only way to get back at him was to kill all the Jews in the entire land. He convinced the king against the Jews. The king allowed Haman to kill all the Jews, but he was unaware of the fact that the queen herself was a Jew, and that Mordecai and she were related. When Mordecai came to know about Haman's plan, he went to Queen Esther to see. Esther came up with a plan and invited King Xerxes and Haman for a dinner. Haman was extremely pleased to be invited for the queen's dinner and felt very important, especially when he was invited second time over. But when he was leaving from the dinner, he came across Mordecai, who still refused to bow to him. He was extremely angry. His wife and his friends suggested him to build a gallows and hang Mordecai before his second dinner invitation. Haman liked this idea and ordered the gallows to be built. That night, the king couldn't sleep, so he requested the book of history of his kingdom to be read to him. In the book, he read about Mordecai and how he saved the king from a conspiracy against him. Right at that moment, Haman came to seek permission to hang Mordecai on the gallows. But before he could ask his question, the king asked Haman,
What honor should be given to a man who truly pleases me?
Haman thought the king was talking about him when he was actually talking about Mordecai. Haman suggested that the honored man should wear the king's robe and ride the king's horse through the town. The king liked the idea and said,
I will do that for Mordecai. Haman, make sure that happens for me.
Haman did everything as per the king's orders, but was not happy about it. The next night, at the dinner, the king asked,
My queen, what can I do for you? I will do anything.
Queen Esther answered, If you really want to please me, save my life and the lives of my people from the order that has come from your palace to have us all killed.
Who would dare pass such an order?
The king asked. The queen pointed at Haman. The king was so angry that he decided to have Haman killed in the same gallows which he had built to kill Mordecai. This is how the queen saved Mordecai. The Holy Tales. Of course I will. But before starting with the story, I want you to remember one thing.
Huh? What's that?
I want you to remember that the Bible does not throw much light on the childhood of Jesus. But there is one such story of him visiting Jerusalem during the Passover feast, which is quite important.
All right, Holy. We will remember. Come on now, tell us the story.
Okay. So, Jesus grew up in a little village in Nazareth, and every year, Mary and Joseph visited Jerusalem for the Passover feast. The year Jesus turned 12, they went for their usual trip, and once the feast was over, they left for home. Mary and Joseph were traveling with a big group of family and friends, and they thought that Jesus was somewhere there in the group. They weren't aware that Jesus had stayed back in Jerusalem. After walking for a while, Mary and Joseph realized that Jesus was not there in the group. They looked for him, but couldn't find him anywhere. So they went right back to Jerusalem and looked for him where they had been and places which could have aroused curiosity in Jesus. Mary and Joseph were worried. They looked and looked for Jesus for 3 days, and finally, on the third day, they found him in a temple sitting with the wise men and teachers. He was listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone in the temple were amazed to see how wise a young boy like him was. Mary went right up to him and asked him,
Why did you do this? Your father and I were so worried. We looked everywhere in the city for you.
Why were you searching everywhere for me?
Jesus answered,
You should have known that I would be in my father's house.
Mary and Joseph did not understand what he meant. Jesus went back to Nazareth with Mary and Joseph and honored them as his parents. But this incident made Mary think a lot as she watched Jesus grow up to be a young man. Everyone loved him, and he obeyed and honored God in whatever he did. And this incident in Jerusalem reminded Mary and Joseph that Jesus was no ordinary boy.
Whoa, that was a beautiful story, Holy. So what's the question for the day?
Well, the question is, after how many days did Mary and Joseph find Jesus, and where?
I know the answer. It took 3 days for them to find Jesus, and they found him in a temple.
Excellent, Tubby. Good job. Well then, friends, hope you liked the story too. We'll be back soon with a new story. Till then, keep watching.
To watch more videos, please subscribe.
plants and trees. On the fourth day, God created the sun to shine in the day, the moon and stars to come out at night. One day, Moses went to Mount Horeb with his sheep. There, God appeared to him as a flame of fire in a bush. Since there was no room anywhere else, they decided to spend the night in a stable. Here, Mary had her baby, Jesus. She wrapped him in a blanket and put him to sleep.
He's got the whole